So I am a nurse practitioner here in southeastern Michigan, and I've had a professional experience that has led me to think that people here, as hard as it is to manage diabetes and to deal with the stresses of life, very different from the experience of Native American people living in the Southwest, where diabetes is such an epidemic, has touched every family. People suffer with all kinds of complications from this disease and don't have the same resources or access to care that my patients have here. About 6 years ago, in my work with the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, I had the opportunity to go with Dr. Neil Barnard and meet with some people who work for the Department of Health with the Navajo Nation. And they were interested in Dr. Barnard's work on a plant-based diet because the traditional diet of the Navajo is largely plant-based. They ate what they could forage for, they ate what they could grow, and they hunted, but that was a small part of their overall diet. And when they went hunting, they shared that animal with the whole tribe. So they were really interested to find out about the science that shows that the diet of their ancestors was now shown to be effective at reversing diabetes. So there was this exchange of information. Some classes were offered to teach people how to eat a plant-based diet. And when we first started these, I really wasn't sure if this would work. Would people come to our classes? Would they be able to access enough fresh fruits and vegetables? Would they like the foods? Many people now are eating a diet that is the opposite of a plant-based diet. There are fast food restaurants available across the Navajo Nation. There are commodity foods provided to the Navajo people that include canned meats and blocks of cheese. And many people don't know how to cook beans from scratch or how to use vegetables. So there was a big learning curve. But I'll tell you, the outcomes have been really impressive. People were sick enough that they were interested in what we had to offer and were interested in working with us. The elders have these great recipes, and they were really happy to be asked to teach how do we cook beans, how can we use more of the produce that we're able to grow. And at the same time that we were teaching these classes, there are efforts going on to improve the local agriculture, to start farms, to set up gardens and hoops to extend the growing season. So it was just a perfect time of some increased availability of food and then increased knowledge about food. So I have had a lot of fun being a part of this project. And I've seen people have great results. One of the most dramatic is a young man who, at 24 years of age, weighed almost 500 pounds. And he had a number of health problems. It had gotten to the point where it was really unpleasant for him to leave his house because of the comments people would make to him and to his family about his appearance. He had a number of health conditions that made it impossible for him to stay in school or to go to work. And he had diabetes, he had high blood pressure, And he developed a condition called sleep apnea, where he would stop breathing at night. And he needed to wear this mask that would force oxygen into his lungs. Well, the mask was uncomfortable, and he often wouldn't wear it. And one night, his parents noticed that he was in respiratory distress. His parents noticed that he was in respiratory distress. And they called EMS to come to their home, and he was too big. They couldn't get him on the stretcher to get him into the ambulance, and they had to call the fire department. And together they were able to get him to the hospital, and they were able to save him. But he had such bad heart disease and respiratory problems that they said he had a very short life expectancy, probably had a couple of months to live. Well, this young man had been quite depressed, and he felt that his time on earth was over, and he was ready for his life to end. But his mom and his grandma weren't, and they said to him, "We are going to feed you." And they didn't call it a vegan diet. And he now calls it a Navajo plant-based diet, but it was a low-fat, vegan, plant-based diet that they put him on. And it turned his health around. And that young man, he's now 26 years old. He weighs about 217 pounds. He's been able to work, go back to school, and he's now working at a hospital on the Navajo Nation, teaching others about how to eat healthfully and how to turn around this epidemic of diabetes.